Welcome everyone to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now unfortunately, once again, I could not get the grid that David Croft usually does, so here's the top 10 from this race. Hamilton, Leclerc, Albon, Vettel, Bottas, Verstappen, Ricciardo, Ocon, Sainz, and Perez. Now, onto the race. Here we are in Hungary, revving up to 5 red lights after pretty crazy qualifying yesterday. It's Hamilton on pole, Leclerc in second. Hamilton gets off to a good start. Max Verstappen, I think, back there got off to a good start after qualifying down in 6th place. Albon got a decent 3rd place start. Here he comes into turn 1. They're 4 wide. Verstappen's on the inside. Hamilton's on the outside. Max Verstappen takes the lead of the race. Albon gets the better exit. And now they're 3 wide coming down the hill. It's Albon who gets out in front. Verstappen's been pushed to the outside. Albon from the 3rd up to 1st, and he's around the outside of Hamilton. Hamilton comes back at Albon. They're going to go side by side up the hill. This is incredible. Up the hill. Down the inside goes Hamilton. Round the outside goes Albon. Round the outside goes Verstappen too. What an incredible start to this race. Now I just take a little breather here. Albon, what a start from 3rd. Verstappen, what a start from 6th. Verstappen just launched it down the inside of it. Albon just nailed that start. And now the Renaults are running best of the rest behind the Ferraris. And then Bottas down in 6th place there, struggling after a pretty poor qualifying and then not at the best of starts. Leclerc in front of Vettel there. As it's a Red Bull 1-2 after an alright qualifying from them, but 3rd and 6th wasn't exactly the best as Verstappen goes a little bit wide there. He's struggling in this race, in this opening phase of the race as Albon is pulling away. And after lap 1, it's Albon that leads the race. Somehow, I can't believe I'm saying this, Alex Albon is leading the race. Not only is he leading it, he has got the pace to win it at the moment. He is matching Verstappen, and Hamilton is still in 3rd in that beautiful black Mercedes in front of course, the 2 Ferraris. So the top 3 are pulling away from Leclerc, Vettel, and Bottas a little bit here. The Ferraris aren't exactly the quickest cars at this track. Verstappen not going off track there, and this is kind of an issue with Hungary, is the lack of overtaking opportunities. But on subject of that, here goes Hamilton on the inside of Max Verstappen. Verstappen's a bit later, Hamilton's later on the brakes, he's on the inside, Verstappen goes a little bit wide. I was talking about not being able to overtake. Verstappen comes back at Hamilton on the inside. Hamilton holds it on the outside, gets squeezed off by Verstappen. Max Verstappen holding 2nd place there as in pursuit of Albon. Hamilton seems to have more pace than both of them. I tried overtaking him, but look at the straight line speed from that Red Bull. Looks like the Honda is actually a pretty quick engine today, unless Max is probably running as much speed as he can right now, as much overtake as he can. And now that has allowed the 2 Ferraris to catch right up. Now Albon is pulling away in this race. I can't believe I'm saying this. He hasn't even finished on the podium in his F1 career after an attempt at Brazil 2019 that was stopped by contact with Lewis Hamilton. And then pretty much this season he hasn't exactly been the best driver, even rumors of him being dropped mid-season. But if there's a race he needed to perform at, this would be that race. As Daniel Ricciardo holding it in front of Esteban Ocon, pulling away quite nicely. I believe that's Pierre Gasly doing a great job in the AlphaTauri in front of the McLaren there. Behind the 2 Renaults, who seem to be best of the rest this weekend. They're kind of in a class of their own, like literally just their own class of speed. They're a little bit too fast for the cars behind, but not exactly fast enough to catch the top runners. Of course, they're just so fast. I believe this is Lance Stroll we were on board with back there. Is doing a decent job as we go down the grid. It's an Alfa Romeo in 19th place. Not a great performance by Antonio Giovinazzi, who just a few races ago back in Austria was challenging for a podium, and now he's in 19th. And now Verstappen is struggling once again against Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's right up behind Verstappen. Albon continues to pull away from them. Hamilton's pressure is causing Verstappen to really struggle in his pursuit of Albon because he has to defend from Hamilton while also try and catch Albon, and clearly that is just not working for him. He's going over that curb there, and nobody else is going over that curb, the tall bit. There it goes. Look at that from Verstappen. He is struggling to stay in front of that Mercedes while Albon just doing a great job. And here goes Hamilton to the outside. No, Verstappen closes that off. Good defensive driving from Max, but it has to be said, a very strong attack by Lewis Hamilton, given that it's such a hard track to overtake yet, and he's nearly overtaken Max, but he hasn't actually pulled it off yet, and that's just makes a great defending. But here we go! Verstappen squeezes Hamilton right to the wall, just like Schumacher did to Barrichello! They're side by side in the next corner! Verstappen tries to brake later, goes around the outside, Hamilton is the inside, and Lewis Hamilton, down the inside of turn 1, takes second place. As he has the DRS into the next corner, and Max Verstappen absolutely helpless in a straight there. And now Lewis Hamilton has taken second place, and now he can really go in pursuit of Alexander Albon. But Albon's got some incredible pace this race. I'm not sure if Hamilton will be able to catch him and let alone pass him. But he did pass Verstappen, and Verstappen's been struggling in this opening round of the race, this opening bit of the race. Now this is problem with Hungary being such a difficult track to overtake at. Races do get quite stale at times, but at the moment Hamilton and Verstappen have put on quite the show. You can see Verstappen even being caught by the Ferraris now. Look at how much time he's lost to Hamilton. He's really struggling for pace right now on his set of tires, and he pulls into the pits because of it. Into the pits goes Max Verstappen. Not the best pit entry, has to be said. As so does Leclerc, and they've actually opted to pit Bottas first in front of Hamilton because Bottas could gain more than Hamilton could, because Hamilton could possibly gain one place, and Leclerc comes out of the pits. There goes Bottas. Max Verstappen's been held in the pits as he nearly gets overtaken by Esteban Ocon, I think that is. I'm surprised they pit Ocon first. I think that's Ocon. That'd be very surprising if they did that. No, it's Ricciardo, my bad. Daniel Ricciardo almost overtakes his former teammate, but Max Verstappen's been overtaken by 2 cars in the pits, and it's not even the first time it's happened. That is very unfortunate for Verstappen, as now, I mean, it looked like he could challenge for the win, but now it looks like he might not even get a podium. As he's going to have to really chase those guys down. He's lost a lot of time in the pits there because of Daniel Ricciardo coming in. As Verstappen does go on that curb there, that is very risky given how easy it is to spin there. But as I was saying earlier, they've opted to pit Bottas first because they believe they can gain more by pitting Bottas first than pitting Hamilton first. Or perhaps Hamilton just wants to go on a longer stint, as sometimes he's able to really pull it off. And into the pits goes Albon and Hamilton. Will Albon get held? Well, the Ferrari's not going to hold him. Here's Albon, here's Hamilton, and there's Vettel, who's held Hamilton a little bit, I think. Sebastian Vettel, who was behind Leclerc. Maybe this overcut will help him overtake Leclerc, although Leclerc wasn't in any traffic. He had fresh tires. If Vettel overtakes Leclerc, that'd be very unfortunate for Leclerc, but also very, very unlikely. And there comes Albon out in the lead of the race. And that's Hamilton in second, with Leclerc taking third, and Vettel's lost places. He's lost the place to Bottas, and Verstappen was already in front of him. He's lost the place to Bottas, and surely he will not be too happy with that. But I guess that's what Mercedes were trying to do, and they've made that overtake work. I think they knew if they pit Hamilton first, he wouldn't have actually had the pace, given his given how far away he was from Albon. I don't think he would have had the pace to actually catch Albon, even if he did undercut him. And just Bottas was the better option, as Bottas was stuck in a train. Now we can see Albon all over the back of that Williams. That Williams is hampering him in his attempt for his first win, and every time he's battling for a podium, it's always Hamilton behind him. So there could be a collision today. That would be very, very unfortunate for Albon, but at the moment he is behind that Williams. trying to overtake him. And now Albon has DRS, but Hamilton, look at how much Hamilton's caught up. He's caught up a lot because of that Williams, and it seems Hamilton's pace has been pretty good. Leclerc's just back there in the distance as Verstappen lost so much time. Remember how close he was to Hamilton. I mean, he wasn't that close, but he was certainly closer than he is now. Behind of course Bottas and Leclerc, and it's going to be very challenging to overtake them with the drag of that Red Bull, the Honda engine, and just generally the nature of this track. Bottas has caught up to Charles Leclerc. Well, relatively speaking, he is closer than he was before, and that Mercedes is looking mighty quick. As Ricciardo pulls away from Ocon, but that's Sainz who's overtaken. Sorry, it was Kvyat, not Gasly. It was Kvyat who was having a strong performance. As that Stroll down there. And then down last is Latifi, but still 19th is Giovinazzi. Not too good from him. And look at how much Hamilton's catching up now. That Mercedes looking very quick on this harder compound tire. Its tire wear seems to be very good. The car in general seems to be very good. And look at that, Hamilton is chasing Albon down with a lot of pace in this race. I don't doubt he will get past Lewis relatively soon. Sorry, Lewis will get past relatively soon. Now we can watch Bottas, who's all over the back of Leclerc. And that's allowing Verstappen to catch up as well, as Max's car is generally faster and he seems to be a little bit quicker at this stage of the race. Now look at the pace from Hamilton. We know how good Hamilton is at this track. He's looking for yet another win here. He could possibly take it. It'd be an incredible performance if he did. So we're reaching about the halfway stage of this race, maybe a little bit earlier. Hamilton all over the back of Albon now. He's really looking for a place to get through it. Look at that. Vettel is actually very close to Verstappen there. Max is struggling very much in this race, and if Red Bull have any hopes of winning today, it would be with Albon. But in terms of the Drivers' Championship, this is not good for Max. If there's a race, he really needed to beat the Mercedes today, as probably would have wanted to after losing out to them in Britain, and now once again he's losing out to both of them. Bottas on the back of Leclerc, but Leclerc seems to have a little bit too much straight line speed, and that's allowing him to stay in front, surprisingly, at Hungary. This is the battle for third between 4 different drivers. Bit of a train Leclerc has created here. As Verstappen slides off there. Slides right onto the higher bit of the curb there. As he goes off track a little bit. Now they go down the street. Hamilton and Albon going down the street here. And Hamilton, despite being in the DRS, just isn't close enough to make that overtake because he's just too far back. Same for Bottas, he's just too far back. For Bottas is not as surprising because that Ferrari is mighty quick in a straight line, but the Red Bull isn't that quick, so Albon's just doing a great job. But as we saw earlier, Ocon is down the DRS of Daniel Ricciardo, and he's catching up to Ricciardo. Look at how much speed Bottas takes as Max goes a little bit off track. As I don't think he's too happy, and he's really pushing that car very, very hard right now. Because yeah, he does go over that higher bit, and I think he does He does like that, as he seems to be faster by going over that higher bit of the curb. Now onto the straight they go. Hamilton with the DRS. It's a bit closer this time, but he's not close enough. Now Bottas again, same problem for Bottas, and this is just the nature of this track. Through the corners here, Albon is pulling from Hamilton. Hamilton and being in that dirty air, and Albon's pace is really good, but through this final sector, look at how much Hamilton gains under braking. But he's just not close enough to Albon to make that move. Even with the DRS, once again, just not enough. Here we are with Charles Leclerc. Bottas is closer this lap, but he's just not close enough. And Verstappen's losing time to these guys now. Here comes Bottas. Again, he's just not close enough to make an overtake. Look at the cars just flying through there. Max goes a little bit wide, he becomes a little bit too hot into turn 5. Now as we're on board with Hamilton here, going through here, and we can see back there Leclerc's lost places, both Verstappen and Bottas. And now we are looking at a replay of how exactly that happened. We see Leclerc still in 3rd place here, but now here comes Bottas with the DRS. He's much closer than he usually is. Leclerc goes defensive. Bottas to the inside. They make contact. That moving under braking has meant that a piece of Bottas's front wing has come off. And that's allowed Bottas to still get in front with the DRS. And then Max Verstappen very late on the brakes. And look at the grip he's got right around the outside. Verstappen still side by side. He squeezes. He squeezes Leclerc. What a move by Max Verstappen. Now you're watching Max Verstappen's point of view. You can see the way that those two up front are just battling so hard. And that's allowed Verstappen to just catch up so much under braking. And then on the exit, Verstappen using the overtake button, we can see on a steering wheel, as now they go down the hill, and look at that, right around the outside, onto the marbles he goes, and just he finds the grip, he finds the pace, he nearly gets squeezed off by Leclerc, but Leclerc hit the brakes pretty hard there to stop a collision between the two, but Verstappen, what an overtake. That is going to be, that's got to be one of the best overtakes this season. It was incredible, he went right around the outside. Bottas too, just, you know, he did lose part of his front wing. There was contact, but he sent it down the inside, something he really needed to do. If he was going to pass Charles Leclerc, he had to do it soon. And that's exactly what he's done. He just launched it down the inside. But now, with that broken front wing, he's going to be vulnerable to Max Verstappen as Max might finally get back onto the podium that he was on before the pit stop. As you can see through these medium and high-speed corners, Bottas is much slower than Verstappen. Now Max is going to get DRS here. Bottas has a bit of a gap to Verstappen. They go down the straight. Verstappen probably going to be using as much power as he can. Here he goes on the back of Valtteri Bottas, and he absolutely launches it down the inside. What a move. Bottas comes back at him with a switchback. They're going to go side by side. So from a very long way back, Max Verstappen. Bottas goes defensive. Verstappen once again, right round the outside, just like he did on Charles Leclerc. Back down the inside. What a move. What a move by Max Verstappen. He's done it again. Round the outside of Bottas. Sure, Bottas was missing a piece of front wing, his end plate, but his end plate was broken on the other side, meaning his downforce on the right side of his front wing was fine. It was the left side of his front wing that was damaged. Of course, he still didn't have optimal downforce, but on the taking that left-hander, it's not like he was really going to struggle through that corner. His speed through the corner should have been fine. It's mostly through the right-handers that he was going to struggle, but Verstappen still just absolutely sent it around the outside, and he knew he had to do it. First, his overtake it down the inside of turn 1 was from a very long way back, and then he just had to do it around the outside. But now look at that. Hamilton is closer to Albon. Could this be where Albon's race win goes away? Look at that. Hamilton's a bit closer with the DRS, perhaps. Here he is on the back of Albon. Albon goes a little bit defensive there, so Hamilton doesn't make the move. As they go for the exit, Albon's defending has been incredible this race. He's just fast and everywhere he needs to be. Everywhere he's not fast, it's not that big a deal because he doesn't need to be fast so he can save his car in those areas. He is playing this race brilliantly, and for someone his age is just incredible to see. As now Bottas is going to come under threat from Charles Leclerc once again after his contact with Leclerc meant that a part of his front wing did break. But yes, Max did try that overtake down the inside. He did go a little bit wide, which meant Bottas had the exit, but Verstappen had the DRS. And then just Bottas went defensive, and Verstappen just sent it right around the outside. He said, basically, if Bottas blocks the inside, Verstappen's going to go to the outside. It's no problem for Max, you know? Now Hamilton on the back of Albon. This is the battle for the lead of the race. Hamilton's not very close this lap, not like he was last lap, and I think if he really sent it last lap, he would have pulled it off, but since he didn't, it's not looking too good for him as Charles Leclerc is now on the back of Valtteri Bottas. Vettel's been kind of just there, but he hasn't really overtaken anyone in this race. He hasn't really been able to. Look at that. Hamilton's still putting the pressure on Albon, but Albon dealing with it brilliantly. No silly mistakes or lockups or anything like that. He is taking that pressure very, very well. And now, yes, Bottas has lost the place to Leclerc. And that's not really too surprising. We cut back to the Hamilton versus Albon battle, and on the final lap of this race, Hamilton has thrown everything he had against Albon, but Albon held it together brilliantly. And he's going to take the win of this race unless he screws up this final corner. But Alexander Albon is now a podium finisher and a race winner, as Hamilton finishes second and Verstappen finishes in third, followed by Leclerc, Bottas, and then Vettel. What a crazy race. Great job from Albon today. He deserved that win.
It's a performance to be proud of today from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. That lead at the top of the table has shrunk somewhat today. Now, let's discuss, Ants. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.